All right, Gundam gamers, our first mission is here at the Newtype Challenge. We're going to break down in today's episode what we would play in these events. What's up, guys? It's Garrett with Talking Cards, and today I brought back my friend, Ben Ferris, the first combat winner, also OPL1 judge, also a lot of things, great man, great dad, great husband, you know, the list goes on. This guy's insane. But anyways, I brought him here today to talk about the Newtype challenges. And we're just kind of going to go over that event as a whole. Ben, do you want to break it down since you pretty much competed in one?
Yeah, the first combat event's like in Gen Con that just happened overseas, all essentially just like a larger scale Newtype challenge, right? So the Newtype challenge looks like you get participation, you get the OA promo, which looks awesome. You get
Is that foil?
The one I got was foil.
Okay.
I don't think anyone has seen like any of the Newtype challenge cards specifically. I would assume they're the same, but they could be different. There was one instance in One Piece where one of the store treasure cup cards was slightly different than the treasure cup card itself that was mirrored. Another time it was the same exact one. So I don't know. I would assume it's going to be the same.
I would think so, because so far in Gundam they've been pretty consistent with that. Yeah. Like when we've done these events, you get those promos that are
exactly
foil.
Right. So I would assume it's foil. Then you make top cut, you get the Soletta Mercury pilot promo, and then if you win, you get the aerial.
Nice.
So
nice.
Hoping it's all the same.
Yeah, and I mean those cards look great.
Yeah.
And it's cool that like with certain things they're pushing certain things. Like at regionals you get the wing stuff.
Yeah,
Here you get the academy stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't even know if it's like fully announced that the regionals will have the wing stuff. It's just heavily implied, right?
Yeah, I thought that was the actual.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was on the English card game. I guess like it's the same, but
they haven't put it on English, but they did. Yeah, that's a good point. But since we're like unified up, I would assume.
I agree. I would assume it's the same, but like we just don't know.
That's a good point.
To be very transparent.
That's a good point.
For any listener, we're not 100% sure. I would 99% sure it would be the same. But
yeah, because it's not like One Piece, right? Where it's like almost like they were getting serials for like 64-man locals, something.
Right? Yeah, and it's a lot different for Gundam since it was a global release versus this Gundam now.
Which is a great thing, by the way. I mean, I think we're seeing it.
Oh yeah, right? Yeah, it's completely different. Like our meta is like, if you look at One Piece meta in Japan, it's completely different than meta here, but it's also like very far ahead, and we kind of mirror it. We know what a baseline would be versus Gundam. It's all the same. Our metas are drastically different. Like
they've always been on aggro from the jump, pretty much.
Yeah, a lot of
we're just kind of coming around. Weirdly enough, we're more control, and that's not always the way in other card games.
Yeah, I think we were really heavily pushed by beta format for so long to push blue-white.
And like over here, I don't know how much overseas they were running those like online tournaments and stuff. Like there was actually a real want for that over here with the beta format. So
exactly.
We really did get to see that format kind of be stretched out. And it did lead us into where we are now, which these are going to be the first events for many people playing.
Exactly.
Outside of the locals. This is going to be your like first event to kind of win some prize cards. So knowing that, Ben, what do you think are the decks to be played right now for these Newtype challenges?
That's a good question. I think that right now this meta, like we were just talking about before we started filming, is circular. A lot of like other content creators are putting out like a circular video. I think UniX, Chris Spencer, great content creator, put out a video of like what a circle meta is. I think Aspera did something similar too, and so did Hayden Eggman. And you see like red, blue, blue, white, green, white, all kind of rotate in a circle. Mm-hmm. So like for me, I think any of those decks is a reasonable pick to take. So when you look at it, first thing I would probably see is like what I think my local meta would be, and use that to your advantage. But my comfort pick, I think, which has a decent matchup spread against like everything, would probably be red, blue, pink.
Red, blue, pink.
I think that's just very safe. It has a really good matchup into green, blue control. Sorry, green, blue, 1 year war, aggro, whatever it's called, not control, very not control. It has a good matchup into blue, white, and has a good matchup into green, white. It can take those green, white, and blue, white might be a little bit more like 45-55 / 50-50.
Yeah.
But with just such a, in my opinion, a very polarizing matchup into green blue, which might be a very attainable deck for a lot of players to play, I think that would outweigh how it kind of like lean towards red blue.
And I think to that point, like green blue also is going to give people the freest amount of wins.
Yes.
Like if I don't see a blocker, I just lose as a green white player or things like that. And I won't be able to turn the corner because I just won't have the time. That's not to say there's not huge decision making with green blue, because I think once you play more skillful opponents, or even opponents that know what they're doing or mulligan correctly for the cards that they know. Because honestly, in a format where aggro exists, you should always mulligan for the aggro matchup.
Correct.
I mean, that's rule number one. And when you're playing a game where you're playing blind. And what I mean by that is we do not know what we're playing against when we sit down.
Yeah.
So I think to your point, in a game where you are blind, I think red blue is a fantastic pick, right? Because you kind of want to do the same thing every game regardless.
Exactly. Like your curve is going to be your curve, right? You're going to want to curve early, GM, Rezel. You're going to get your early like Amuro, Gramps into Merida, Kshatriya. Like it's very straightforward, and all doing that, you're able to kill their units for free while attacking and without a lot of value trading. It just is very favored very well into green-blue, and then into blue-white. In green-white, you can hedge the aggro version of it a little bit more, and you can pivot very easily with your game plan.
So for me personally, I think I would probably still play green-white. Because I've been messing with a different build than I've been playing, and it's more like burst heavy. It goes more into the defenses, I guess I should say, of like if I'm playing against aggro, I have some fail safes probably in life. So, and it just gives you 4 more blockers if you play the Striker Pact. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a character in hand that's also burst, essentially.
Yeah, exactly right. Striker Pact, for anyone who doesn't know, is a command that has as a burst and activate main where you get to play a blocker, right? On activate main, you can play a 4-2 or a 2-4, and the burst is a 3-3 if I'm correct.
The burst is the best stat.
Burst, honestly, is, I like 2-4 personally, but 3-3 because you get Lifrith on a command of your choice, but it is essentially like an amazing card that I think is starting to see a little bit more play.
Yeah, no, and it's a fantastic card, and I think it's like really important in green-white with what we're seeing out there. I mean, even against red-blue, that comes out of life, and you're like, bummer.
Yeah, it's a unit that comes. It's a unit that comes out of life.
Yeah,
that you can play from hand. It's functionally the same exact thing.
Yep. And then, so I think that's where I would go. I also still really like blue-white. I mean, you've already spoke about red-blue, and I do like that deck. The deck I'm honestly the most down on is green-blue. It's not my personal play style, because I hate those games where like, okay, I didn't see Char, and I'm just sitting there, and you have all these blockers, and it's like, that was cool.
Yeah, you're sitting on Baltic with crap, right? If you think Monopoly games, you're just doing nothing. And I agree. I think I'm not a big fan of the deck either. I'm a typical aggro mid-range players where like my home is, but I tend to play whatever I think is the best deck. But I think green-blue feels very well, it plays very well, but if you do make a mistake, it's actually very punishing. A lot of players will say that, oh, it's a free easy deck for new players to learn how to play. Very true, but it's very nuanced. If you do end up making a mistake or just one wrong pilot attachment, one missed sequence of an attack, it can be very punishing. And
I think it's important to point out, as far as we know, and just going off of Bandai history, these kind of events are just Swiss.
Yes.
So no top cut.
Yep.
I think if there was top cut, green-white for me would be the easy, definite pick. I like green-white in a top cut.
I think I'd probably pivot from red-blue. I feel like if there was a top cut, I can lose a game during Swiss, and I think that's okay, which would make me feel a little bit safer for like blue-white or green-white.
Yeah.
Because green-white's one of my favorite decks ever since like we very first started messing with the game. I think I'd probably pivot more to one of them actually.
Yeah, because even what I was going to say about blue-white eventually is that it's where it's going now is it can handle that aggro a little better with the GM as well now and stuff, and lifting things with Hawk or with Sword Strike as well. So
yeah, that list is really fun to play. Like because with blue-white you have 2 different variants, right? You have blue-white blockers with freedom top end, or you don't play that and you play kind of this like unicorn rush aggro mid-rangey thing, which is probably a little bit more well positioned into blue-green.
Yeah, and I think for me personally, that's probably where the list is right now that I'd be looking at. I think blue-white blockers will just always be a deck, and I think it's always good.
It's always good.
And I think your best players that have been playing it forever just have a step up on the deck compared to everyone else. So I still think that's a good pick. And I guess where I want to go now that we've kind of laid out the land for you guys is, what do you think, Ben, are like the biggest factors when you're thinking about these deck choices? Like, what are you going in here saying to myself that, I got to check this box, I got to check this box?
I think for me, comfort in knowing what you're like. I don't think if this is like I think there's like a round 0 to get into these Newtype challenges because it seemed a little bit challenging to get into some.
Yeah.
So I think first off, seeing which one you got into and how many you got into. If I only got into one, I don't think I'd probably play a new deck or a deck that's not practiced for yourself because you don't want to waste that opportunity. That'll be the first thing, right?
That's a great point.
But after that, I think, let's say you got into a couple, you're not that worried about playing a new deck. I think for me is like looking at what you anticipate to be there.
Sure.
Be the big thing, and then going towards comfort from there. I know it's like something I said before, but I think just being able to somewhat predict the meta in this game is super impactful, and the better it can help you better choose your deck or the way you build your deck.
Yeah, and I think comfort is a great thing to latch onto that Ben said here, because if I've had the most reps on green white. If I get an uncomfortable line or anything, I can probably navigate that better with green white than I could green blue, a deck that I haven't played much of at all.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know these scenarios, and when you have that comfortability, you're better off trying to find your win con in ways that like you could probably navigate a lot easier than with decks you haven't.
Exactly. You're not wasting time trying to figure out how to get out of the situation or how to win from this game plan because you've seen it before.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes when me and you just play test, we take really long turns. Like we'll take like a 10-minute turn for no reason. But that's just to save us every opportunity in actual tournament play to make that same turn in 1 minute or less. Because we went through every single situation where we outspoken out loud about what cards are in hand, what are the options, what could you do next? And I think that is like makes or breaks your tournament run.
Sure. And I think that's another thing too, is having a good crew to play with.
Yes.
Like, or just honestly, if you don't have friends that play, you can't talk anyone into playing with you, jump on the sim. Yeah. I'll shout out Zumbo Sim. Go play it. Like, I mean, it's just good to run some games.
Yeah, it's just simple. Like I'll build a list. I don't think he's even close to being optimized, just to run a couple games every night just to get the reps in. Like I think Blue White's probably my least played deck actually. And I just have been playing it nonstop on Zumbo just because I want to get used to it as much as possible going into like the regionals and stuff.
Sure, because if you do decide to play it, it does have a nuanced mirror.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's
not fun.
It's not fun, but I will say it feels like the better player wins most.
Oh yeah, if I was playing against Henry, I'm forgetting his Discord name. Right?
I think it's Tydana.
Tydana, yeah, I probably get cooked by him or Levi, no question. Yeah. Just because of the amount of reps they have on Blue White versus me, I don't think it would be close unless our hand difference was so drastic. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't feel like I would be at the same level as them, for example, with my current reps.
And that's something that you speak on, that in a bigger event, I do take into account, but not something like a Newtype challenge, to just clarify. Because like a regional, it's like, I'm probably going to see those guys at a regional because I'm trying to day 2. So I got to plan on seeing those guys at day 2. So if I already know that I'm playing a deck that they can play better if I haven't put the time in to get to that level, I will go play the deck that I think can counter it, or build my green-white so it has a better blue-white matchup, or things like that. Where in these Newtype challenges, I don't think you need to do those sort of things. Yeah. It's a Swiss tournament. It's totally different.
It's going to be, 5 rounds, right? It's like 32-player caps.
Yeah.
So 5 rounds of Swiss, maybe less if you have less than 32 players and the down pair loses. So you're looking at a 4 to 5 round local, essentially, depending on how big your locals even are. Right. Some locals are getting 40 players, so the Newtype challenge might even restrict that some.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a good place to kind of like give you that breakdown too, of like the difference between the mindset of going into a regional and these Newtype challenges. Both have prize cards, but there are levels to it.
Exactly. Like you have your local level of player that you've seen every single week that might not be the ones who would want to travel across the country to play in the regionals because they're not like the quote unquote gamer, right?
Yeah.
Like they just love Gundam. They came in from Gunpla. They're like, a new Gundam game, let me check it out. And those same players are going to play in these Newtype challenges, which might not be the same regional competitor, right?
Yeah. No, and I think that's a good place to get into probably our last topic here. What do you think are the biggest mistakes people are making right now that can help them win a Newtype challenge? Because at this local level, we are getting more players that would not travel to a regional, that would not travel to maybe a 10K somewhere or a 1K or anything like that. So what do you think that, someone who is just mainly a local grinder, and this could be like the biggest tournament for them, they get a chance to win some prize cards here. That's not just your local winner card. What would you say are the things that they should be thinking of?
I'm going to shout out your last video you made about like the big things. I think because like I spoke to you about like what things I would want to always like harp on for new players. And I know the mulligan is such a simple thing, but truly knowing what the mulligan is and what's an unkeepable hand versus playable hand versus I am forced to keep this hand because my next 5 cards probably have burst.
Yeah.
And you have to deal with that knowing into an aggro meta. So I think number one for me is like correct mulliganing. And that only comes from as many play lines that you've seen, whether or not like it's just a sim, you're playing with friends, you're goldfishing by yourself, but knowing what is truly an unplayable hand and just seeing what you can keep versus can't keep.
Yeah.
And when you can like go to high roll.
Right.
You know,
it's a nuanced thing. It really is.
Even though it's just like, it seems so simple. It's like, oh, I don't have a blocker, put all back. But like, that could have been the way you win the game because you put back 4 non-bursts and you know you play like 15, 16 bursts in your deck. There's high chances that that's what's there. You're going to draw into them as your next 5. So I think mulliganing is a huge thing. And then second thing I think is honestly like knowing when to trade versus not trade, and especially into the aggro meta. Trading is very, very important, and doing it in a way where you can kind of like 2-for-1 or optimize your play lines as much as possible.
Sure. I think those are 2 great points. And then I'll add on to that. I think another thing people aren't doing enough sometimes is they hold their pilots too long. I think sometimes like beefing up a unit can be good enough that like you got a lot of use out of that pilot. Like if I can, I'll just say throw a Soletta on a Rezel and make it 5 health and 5 attack, that's huge.
Yeah,
like,
thing ain't going anywhere.
And I can still get the effect off of it.
Yes.
Or like, even though I can't rush with that Rezel, if I attach Amuro and I'm still gonna swing into something and survive after that, I'm pretty far ahead with that Amuro.
Yeah, I think that's such a really good point, is like knowing when or when not to pilot. Like that could be like a title or a whole video or like a short reel in itself, is knowing when to push your advantage, or knowing when to like identify that point where it's like, if I don't make this play, I can no longer win. And I'm just playing to survive, which isn't like a strategy really.
Or even, I will say, playing to be so far ahead.
Yes.
To where you're putting them on the back foot. Like sometimes you just need to flip that script a little.
Yeah, it's that turning point, right?
Yep. And I think like with green-blue, like I think that's how people fall to that matchup too fast sometimes. They don't know how to like say like, okay, I can't wait for a Gundam for this Amuro. Actually, I do need to just attach it to the Rezel and then swing out this one thing and then I'm still alive here. Yeah,
exactly. Like, I don't have the great link for it, but I can develop a GM, a Rezel, and attach an Amuro to my current creature to tap and trade, ready to develop 2 bodies on my turn, on my level 4. Maybe I'm on going second, so I use my EX resource, but I just cleared a body and developed 2, so now I have 3 creatures to their 2.
Right, and then it allows me to have also more on board to swing into their weaker stuff, typically.
Yeah, and that play might even be better than an Amuro Graves.
So I just want to put that note out there. It's something to think about for sure. But other than that, Ben, do you have anything you think about these Newtype challenges? Our first mission, technically?
The first mission. I think it's such a cool way as someone who's just getting into mission 1. Such a cool thing to get into, is like never watching Gundam before this. But no, I think it's going to be a really good event like series, right? Like I think it's gonna be a whole month. It'll be really exciting to see you'll have so much data to see from these locals that are all gonna probably get published, most likely on, I'm sure Hayden is gonna go around and try to get as many deck lists as possible, which will be awesome to see, because actually with more shared data, it can help frame you for if you're going to these regionals at the end. So you have Card Fest coming up, and then you'll have Cali plus Ottawa right after. And so this is going to give everyone a bunch of data to utilize to best prepare for those events. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with what you said there. So we're going to end it there. If you haven't already, guys, please like and subscribe and follow the channel. And thank you again, Ben, for being with me here. And tune in next time, guys. Thanks.